Welcome back, students, in a new series of heat, where we are going to understand different things related to heat. In this particular video, I'm going to discuss about heat as a form of energy. Why do we say any object as hot or cold? What is the unit of heat? What is temperature? How temperature is related to heat? What is the unit to measure this temperature? And some more things related to it. So let's start. Heat. How we can define heat? You can say heat is a form of energy which makes a substance hot. We used to feel heat in our day-to-day life, such as in winter, it is our common experience that we feel cold inside the house, and when we come out under the sun rays, we feel warm. In the same way, if you hold your hands on the top of a burning candle, then you will feel warm over there. Therefore, you can say it is a form of energy that causes the perception of coldness and hotness. This heat energy flows from a higher temperature body to a lower temperature body. We will understand how heat is related to this temperature. Now, we generally think a body which is hot, it is only having heat. But it's wrong. Actually, heat energy is all around us, whether it is a hot volcano or a cold iceberg. All matter contains heat energy. Heat energy is the result of the movement of tiny particles in a matter. As you all know, a matter is made up of very tiny particles called as atoms or molecules. When these molecules or atoms used to vibrate, then they have an energy. Therefore, we say it is the motion of the particles that creates a form of energy which is called as heat or thermal energy, which is present in a matter. Therefore, we define heat as the total sum of the potential and kinetic energy of the particles present in that particular matter. Heat can be said to be as a form of energy which is due to the motion of the particles. The more movement of particles means the body is having more heat energy, and if the body is having lesser in movement of the particles, then the body will have less amount of heat energy. So we can define any body as a hot or cold object on the basis of their average kinetic energy. If the kinetic energy or the average kinetic energy is less, then it will be considered as a cold object. Whereas if the average kinetic energy is more, then it will be considered as a hot object. Now, let's understand the units of heat. As heat is a form of energy, therefore its SI unit is joule. But else than joule, there are some other units also which we use to represent heat, such as British thermal unit or watt. But in a very common way, we also use calorie to represent heat energy. Calorie can be said to be as the amount of energy which is required to raise the temperature of water of 1 gram by 1 degree Celsius. In more precise way, you can say it is the amount of heat energy which is required to increase the temperature of water from 14.5 degrees Celsius to 15.5 degrees Celsius, which is an ideal situation. There is a relation between calorie and joule. 1 calorie equals to 4.84 joule. In a round-up value, you can say 1 calorie is equals to 4.2 joule. When we study about heat, then we generally observe that heat used to be transferred from one body to another body. And this is because of temperature. When two bodies been brought together with different temperature, then we used to observe heat used to flow from the hotter body to the colder body. The effect of this transfer of energy usually, but not always, is an increase in temperature of the colder body and a decrease in temperature of the hotter body. Now let's understand what is temperature. You can say temperature is the representation of how hot or cold any body is. Previously we had understood this, that heat is the total sum of kinetic and potential energy. So you can say Temperature is the average kinetic energy of a matter. The more the molecules move, the higher the temperature will be. In the same way, if the movement of the particles is less, then the temperature will be low. Now, let's understand some more things related to temperature. Temperature of a body is a measure of the degree of hotness and coldness of that particular body. It is an indication of the amount of heat present in a body. The flow of heat is due to the change in temperature of two bodies. If we bring two bodies of two different temperature, then we will observe that heat used to flow from a higher temperature body to a lower temperature body. It can be measured in three different scales: degree Celsius, degree Fahrenheit, and Kelvin. Out of these, Kelvin is the SI unit of temperature. You can pause the video over here and see the relation between degree Celsius, Fahrenheit, and Kelvin, and how to convert the units from one to another. Now, from our previous understanding, we can say the temperature of a substance is a result of the speed at which its molecules are moving. The faster the molecules are moving, the higher the temperature of the substance. Due to that, we observe different kinds of effect, such as the flow of heat. When two bodies are at two different temperatures, then we used to observe that there is a flow of heat from a higher region to the lower region. But it gets stopped when they reach to an equilibrium situation, which has also been termed as thermal equilibrium. Now here is a difference between heat and temperature. Heat is a form of energy, whereas temperature is the degree of hotness or coldness of a body. Heat is the cause, temperature is the effect. Heat is the combined energy which the molecules used to have in a body, whereas temperature is only the measure of how fast the molecules are moving in that given body. The SI unit of heat is Joule, whereas the SI unit of temperature is Kelvin. How do we measure this temperature? We can measure the temperature of a body by an instrument called thermometer. The first thermometer been proposed by a scientist named as Galileo, but his thermometer was having some defects which been cleared out by Fahrenheit, and he had given us the modern thermometer which we call as mercury thermometer, in which there is a glass tube which contains mercury in it, and it works on the principle of expansion of metal on heating. It gives us the reading in degree Celsius or in degree Fahrenheit. But as we had came to know that mercury is very much poisonous, therefore we had stopped using a mercury thermometer, and instead of that we had now started using a digital thermometer. I will discuss about all the different kinds of thermometer further in this video. Before we discuss about different kinds of thermometer, let's understand some of the things related to a thermometer. First, the standard point or the fixed point on a thermometer. The standard point or fixed point on a thermometer is the range between which we use to take the temperature of any given object. This range starts from the lower fixed point, which is the melting point of pure ice, and goes till the boiling point of water as the upper fixed point. Remember, this range can be only used to take the temperature for some basic things only. The next thing which we must know, that is the scale of the temperature which we use to mark on a thermometer. Generally, we observe that there is degree Celsius or degree Fahrenheit scale on which we use to mark the temperature. But for scientific study, we go for Kelvin scale only. In the Celsius scale, the melting point of ice, which is 0 degrees Celsius, been marked as the lower fixed point, and the boiling point of water, which is 100 degrees Celsius, been marked as the upper fixed point. The difference between these 2 points been divided into 100 equal divisions. Whereas in the Fahrenheit scale, the lower fixed point been taken as 32 degree Fahrenheit and the upper fixed point been taken as 212 degree Fahrenheit. The difference between these 2 points been divided into 180 equal divisions. Whereas in the Kelvin scale, we use the same principle what we had seen in degrees Celsius. Now let's understand what are the different types of thermometers are there. There are different types of thermometer on the basis of their construction and their uses. Generally, we see a clinical thermometer, a laboratory thermometer, a Galileo thermometer, a maximum minimum thermometer, and a digital thermometer. But we need to understand about a clinical thermometer and a laboratory thermometer only over here because that is a common kind of thermometer which we see all around us. A clinical thermometer is that kind of thermometer which measures the human body temperature at our home or in a clinic. All clinical thermometers used to have a kink that prevents the mercury from flowing back into the bulb when the temperature been taken from a patient's mouth. A clinical thermometer used to be marked in degrees Celsius as well as in degree Fahrenheit. But as degree Fahrenheit is more sensitive than to degree Celsius, therefore we generally used to denote the human body temperature in degree Fahrenheit only. In a clinical thermometer, we can see the marking from 35 degrees Celsius or 94 degree Fahrenheit to 42 degrees Celsius or 108 degree Fahrenheit. Now, let's discuss about laboratory thermometer. A laboratory thermometer can be seen in a school or a college laboratory to measure the temperature. In a laboratory thermometer, we don't have a kink, as well as in a laboratory thermometer, the scale is only in degrees Celsius. The range is between minus 10 degrees Celsius to 110 degrees Celsius. In some places, it can be from 0 degrees Celsius to 100 degrees Celsius. There are some precautions which we should take before we use a clinical thermometer or a laboratory thermometer, such as while we use a clinical thermometer, we should clean it with some antiseptic solution so that no germ can be spreaded from one person to another person. We should jerk the thermometer in a proper way so that the level of mercury can come down till 35 degrees Celsius or 94 degree Fahrenheit. We should not hold the thermometer from the bulb, otherwise the reading can be different. We should not keep the thermometer under sun or in a flame. We should hold the thermometer straight to our side so that we can get the correct reading. The thermometer should handle in a proper way, otherwise it can break down. In the same way, when we go for a laboratory thermometer, we should be sure that the thermometer should be straight while we use it, as well as the bulb of the thermometer must be dipped properly in the substance for which we are taking the reading. A thermometer can be of two classes on the basis of the liquid which we use over there. A mercury or an alcohol can be used to measure the temperature in a thermometer. They both are thermometric liquids. There are some advantages of using mercury as a thermometric liquid, such as mercury do not stick on the glass. It is opaque and shiny, so it gives us a clear vision. The boiling point of mercury is very high, which is 357 degrees Celsius, as well as its freezing point is very low, which is minus 39 degrees Celsius. As well as it absorbs the heat in a very efficient manner. Therefore, with a small amount of heat, it expands properly. But it has a limitation. Under minus 39 degrees Celsius, if we have to take the measurement of any temperature, we are not able to use a mercury. There, we use an alcohol thermometer. Alcohol thermometer has a freezing point of minus 100 degrees Celsius. So where we are not able to use a mercury thermometer, there we use an alcohol thermometer to take the reading.